Welcome back to another episode of Creative Conversations. I'm your host, Briana Elmore, and today we have another amazing guest who I personally admire a whole lot, and I really appreciate her for being here. She is an entrepreneur, a Black-owned business owner, and then she also supports and amplifies other Black businesses through her own work. But baby, most of all, she a doctor. Okay, she a doctor, and she just is truly an amazing heart, an amazing creative, amazing person to just look after and support. Her name is Dr. Tierra Patterson. Woo! All right, so with our first question, I'm going to ask you, have you created a business that is centered around Black brands? You have. I'm not asking. I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. You have created a business that is centered around Black brands and building the Black dollar. And so, what inspired you to do so, to create Black Business Junkie?
Okay, so when I first moved to DC, first of all, DC is just like Black people everywhere. Very
it's
diverse.
The chocolate city.
Exactly, diverse experiences. It was the first time that I noticed that it was like Black-owned businesses like everywhere. Mm-hmm. So of course, being more conscious of that, I was thinking like, oh, I want to change like most of the things I use to me using those things from Black-owned brands. So I challenged myself to like buy like soap and eventually trying to transition from like everything in my house being from like Black-owned brands. So I was like, I should make this like a whole business, like of like amplifying Black-owned businesses and also like showing my journey of me transitioning to these things. So out of that, Black Business Junkie was birthed from that. But of course I sat on it for like months. I remember like looking back recently and seeing like logos I created when I thought of it, like months and months out from when I actually launched it. But it was probably the best decision I made so far.
And then this is an Easter egg because I know you be doing sales on your anniversary day. When did you launch it?
It's February 2020. Is when
February,
we launched.
Was it the 12th?
February 12th. Yep. Yep. February 12th.
All right. See, okay, guys, if you're listening, you're gonna follow Black Business Junkie, doggone it, if you listen. And then she always do a little Easter egg, like, who remember the day in the comments.
Oh yeah, we did that for our anniversary. And we gave out a free sweatshirt, I believe.
See, and the sweatshirt, high quality. Hi. I would, if it wasn't 100 degrees here, I would be wearing one. But I do have my shirt on.
Okay. Making history every day.
Making history every day. Okay. I think an interesting thing to me specifically is because you live in DC, and we know that there's a particularly colored house that is in DC, and opposite of the Black that we are here to empower. But you lived in DC and saw some crazy transitions. Those things, did they really like push you in a different way to see that transition? Like just different things going on, because you were there prior to 2016, right? In DC, and then you saw like a whole nother you seen a few different transitions of like the vibes in DC. So did that encourage you to go harder with not only finding Black-owned businesses for yourself to utilize and support, because I know it was like a wave of people really wanting to be immersed with Black business, support only Black business exclusively, all this different stuff. But then I feel like was there like a transition within you? You were like, this is a mission now. It's not even just about me. Like in that process of, I just want to see if I can do it, to okay, this could be a business, because it can't just be me that's looking for Black-owned stuff now at this point. Like, can you like walk us through that a little bit? Because I feel like you're in an interesting place.
Yes. So I moved to DC in 2014. And when I first moved here, the Howard, first of all, the city was totally different. Howard's area was like still super black. Now it is an area where students can't even afford to stay. So like gentrification itself has like pushed black people out of the city and out of like the area of where like Howard University area is supposed to be like blackity black. It's supposed to be like embrace the culture. Now it's
It's the
like
Mecca, right? Is that one
now
of the
it's
nicknames? Right? It's the Mecca.
exactly,
Like,
yes.
yeah.
And now it's like $2,000 studios and like high-end restaurants and things in the area. So that in itself just shows you like the transition of the times, but also like of course like when I was here, President Obama was in, and then we went to Trump,
I was
and
gonna say, please, can we blur out that name? Oh,
so like it's definitely been like a huge transition here, especially since I used to work within the government space too, so like noticing those changes from within, but also like I feel like activism to me is more so like creating a space. It doesn't necessarily have to be like, being out marching and protesting, but like creating a safe space for Black people to feel comfortable and feel celebrated. So that's what I've been trying to do with Black Business Junkie. So like always say, or when I'm working with like content planners and things, I'm saying, I don't want this to be like a super radical space. Like I want
yeah.
this to be like a light space. Like I don't want to say you need to shop Black owned businesses, like, or else. It's like here's some suggestions. Like here's some funny memes. Like I want this space to be somewhere you feel supported and just to be a resource. So I feel like that's the way like Black Business Junkie has been, showing his activism during these hard times.
I agree. And I think that it's just like it gives some levity to just being a Black person.
Mm-hmm.
It allows you the space to be able to be yourself, but also find out a way to potentially better yourself and to kind of go into like your ownership, right? Because
Yeah.
I think it can feel like it, for me personally, I can speak for myself. For me, it feels like, I can't control so much. It's so much stuff going
Mm-hmm.
on that if it was up to me, I would be doing the exact opposite of whatever
Yeah.
this is. You know what I mean? Like it just feels like so out of control, especially being a Black woman in today.
Oh,
So it's just
yes.
like it's
That
so
part.
much going on, and it's so much that should be in my control that is out of my control. It's a whole
Out of
bunch of
it.
things. It's a whole lot of. But one thing I can do, I can control what I consume, right?
Yes.
From all aspects, I can control what I'm eating. I can control if I do some exercise or if I don't. I can control whatever it is. I can control what I watch. I can control where I
Mm-hmm.
spend my dollar because it's like, okay, y'all don't see me beyond one thing or the other, right? And then these
Mm-hmm.
different things are stacked against your experience, your living experiences as they are, just like you said with gentrification, right? All of
Mm-hmm.
this stuff, but I can control where I spend that dollar, and I'm gonna hit you
Exactly.
where it hurt, even if it is just $1.50 at a time or whatever, right? So
Yep.
$5 candle
Whatever's
at a
in your
time,
means.
you're gonna feel it. You're gonna
Yep.
feel it, and you're gonna notice maybe I wasn't here, because I feel like there's different things, and it don't have to be super radical. It could just be, I'm not messing with this no more,
Yep.
or I'm not listening to this anymore, or I'm not going to watch this, or I'm not going to support this if it wouldn't support me. I
Yes.
feel like that's the big change for myself that I've seen. It's just like, okay, do I really want to support people, things, and companies that wouldn't support me?
Exactly. And as hard as I thought that detachment was going to be, it actually wasn't hard at all. Like, just like, if you're not about me, then why am I supporting you? Like,
Right. You
it's so
gotta
much
make it
easier.
you gotta make it black and white. You can't be,
Yes.
it's like, because in real life, if we're talking about relationships,
Mm-hmm.
friendships, familial, romantic, or otherwise, Work,
Yeah.
if you're not for me, why would I be messing with you?
It's giving a toxic relationship.
Okay, it's giving cut
Cut off.
I remember my question from earlier. And so this is something that I've noticed that has taken place, like when we see Black business, and I want your take rather.
Mm-hmm.
When we see Black businesses get super amplified, right? Like, so we're looking at these different brands and we're like, oh, this is a Black owned thing. Let me give my all to this. This product works really good. I'm in. I'm gonna support it. I'm gonna amplify it. I'm telling everybody this is Black owned, buy this, go this route, whatever. And then they get so much leverage behind it. They move up, they get more notoriety, they get more partnership deals. You see them on the stands and stuff in stores, all this stuff. Then, so they're like, yeah, Black business, we're Black owned, da 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 da. Super loud, right? Super loud on the bliggity Black owned. And then real quiet, sell the company changes, stuff that's going into the products that we trusted because they were natural, because they were this and that, because they were literally tested and gentle and they were made for us. Now you sold it, they didn't changed it, they didn't change the formula a bit, and it can kind of look the same, but then it don't, and it's like it don't feel the same, it's not working for you the same. And for me, I don't even know that there's been a change in ownership. Like, how do you feel about that? Because to me, I've been feeling so lied to, and be like, what am I supposed to do now? I got to find another support. And
now, one thing I'm not gonna do is hate on anybody's come up, but I do feel like there should be some transparency. But also, I feel like we should keep that same energy across the board. I feel like a lot of brands like switch up like ingredients and things like that, and they don't like openly do a whole campaign or a live about it. And we're just okay with it because like I'm going to use Dove because that's what I use, So like I understand that like being upset with the person not being transparent, but maybe there's a little bit more to it than we understand,
Yeah, because it's like, I do get it. The ultimate goal is for you all to get paid. That's what we love it. We love to see. But we trust the products, right? Because even if Dove want to play, I will have to walk.
Yeah.
You get some Dove in the shower.
But I'm pretty sure Dove done made some changes and we didn't even notice. What? Come on now. When was the last time you checked the back of a Dove bottle? Come on now.
I have never personally, but
exactly.
I will say this. I think that but this is the part that bothers me too. But I think that like when you have these Black brands, you're so endeared to them and you have that type of familial like attachment, right? So you feel like this family, they out here, this is like my aunt. You have some type of connection to this where you're like, oh, this is like my auntie and them. This is my cousin. This is my whoever it is. This could be my friend, whatever, because they're putting themselves out there and they're presenting. And that's not right. But because it's like you fit the switch up, and because it's like I'm trusting this brand over this brand and they do the same things, it's like, what if I left Dove and went with this because it was Black owned, and it was like I felt like that was where I wanted to spend my Black dollar, and this has been helpful to me and all this other stuff. And it's like, because and you pride in yourself. We don't know what's in it, but when you make it a point to tell us what's in it, and then we see that's not in it no more, it's like, well, what? It's like, what happened? You know what I'm saying? So, and I hate that, but at the same time, it's like it's part of what endears you to Black owned brands too. So it's just kind of like, I don't know what to do with that.
But also, this sounds like a similar story to something that happened recently, and I was really actually upset with the Black community because I feel like they were really dragging this brand, and I'm like, y'all need, like, everybody needs to keep the same energy across the board. Like,
I get that,
forgiveness, and also like if you want answers, like reach directly out to that brand, you know? But also like when you said that some people like create like this relationship or like idea of how a brand is, like that's kind of on your, you know, that's kind of your fault too, like putting too much of like your like personal trust or creating a relationship with a brand that has no real ties to you can be kind of, you know, it can be very disappointing when things don't go right, you know.
That's true.
But
On the flippity, I say that about like how people treated Obama. It was just kind of like, okay, guys, relax. Like, you know, it was like, so I get what you're saying. Like that parallel. It's just kind of like, okay, I get it. He can be all these different things, but he is still a man. He is also still a politician, and he is also not the only one making choices.
Exactly. Also, like trying to understand more so of why they made those changes rather than, you know, just like, oh, you changed the recipe. Maybe those things were becoming a little bit more hard to, you know, get sources to, like, or maybe, you know, a lot of times when you buy like natural things, like they expire quickly. So because they're like natural products, so maybe it was, you know, harder to preserve, you know. I see that in a lot of smaller brands too. Like sometimes they just have to switch up the formula because now you have to give all these natural, you know, products to a larger fan base, and it's harder to do that.
Or even the demand, right? Because like they used to doing 40 orders a week, right? And now we got 140 or 400 orders. And it's like,
or a million at that point, you know?
Yeah.
So
I think it's part of the, but see, I also think where you're coming from is because you do your research, right? So if you guys take nothing else from this episode, why don't you do a little research on where you go, on where you
get some grace. Get some grace.
Yes.